is shifting more towards authenticity and what the previous generation tolerated, I guess, such as, being one thing here and one thing here, I don't think is acceptable anymore. Now it's like you can't hide who you are.
It's really tough to be a 1 or 2 deal a year agent and not have another job. There's market share that's up for grabs for agents that are full-time agents weathering the storm. We've gotten some great advice from agents like Dave Walter. His best years are when he doubles down, when the market turns and he picks up more market share.
Hi, in this episode, I sit down with Chad and Marcus. Chad and Marcus are one of the kindest realtors around. If any of you know these guys, you know that I am not exaggerating. We talk about their real estate career, we talk about marketing, and we talk about how to juggle all of this career while still raising a family. And so I hope you enjoy this conversation. You guys are like totally opposites, huh? Or are you guys very similar in a lot of different ways?
I would say both. Yeah, we have similar interests, but in different strengths. Mm-hmm. But I think that we recognize that about each other, so that's why it works so well.
Have you guys been friends since high school or college, or
Yeah, we met through, my younger sister was very, very good friends, best friends with his now wife. But back then, they were best friends in high school, basically. Yeah. Shannon, his wife, started dating in high school.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back and tell the story of how you met your wife and all that stuff. It's good. But we met through them. So he'd come over with his wife Shannon, and they'd be at my house, and I'd be hanging out. So we got to know each other then. So he went to a different high school, so we rolled with different groups. But we knew each other, hung out, even on holidays and stuff. We'd be together sometimes, and then he got his license first, and I was thinking about it. I was working in bars for a while. That's what I did through college, making money, and. I was at a crossroads, thinking about getting married, didn't want to do nights anymore, started kind of picking his brain. I was like, I think I might get my license. And he's like, well, hey, what do you think about this? And I was like, that's actually sounds pretty cool. And now over 10 years later, still humming, going good, so that's cool. Yeah.
So this is essentially both of your first businesses. This is, or were you?
Chad's dabbled in a few businesses.
Yeah, I graduated college in 07. I got licensed that summer I graduated. So I was licensed in 08. Obviously the market, it was a little funky then. The whole job market was weird. It was 08. So getting out of school, I ended up moving back home because it was 08. That's what you did in 08. I got a job, I was in marketing. I was a marketing major, so I got a job in marketing in the healthcare space.
What did you do there? What was the job?
A little bit of everything. It was sales, marketing. Yeah. It was a mid-sized company, but it had a mom and pop feel, which was good for me because I was able to do a bunch of different stuff.
You learned a bunch of different roles.
I started in sales, and then I saw some openings in marketing and operations that just weren't being done. So I kind of just went off and did them, and the owners really liked it. So it was good for me there. And it was also a very flexible job. So I was able to have that 9 to 5 and have that first job and good experience, but I had my real estate license at the time. So I was able to transition while I was working there. So I sold my first home in 2011, late 2011.
Well, because essentially...
So I was working there while I started selling. And then, and then a year later, I was able to transition away and quit that job.
Well, it's almost the same. What I'm saying is that real estate it's a marketing sales job.
Oh yeah.
A huge portion of it is. Yeah. So
it's two businesses in one. There's you're generating leads and business for yourself, and then there's the transaction side, right? Where you have to know all that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you more lean towards the marketing and then you're more lean towards the other stuff, like what you're saying, or is it both?
I think it's both. It's a mix. He's very social. He's very good at meeting new people, building our sphere. Yeah. We're both from the area, from a market that we operate in, so we both know a lot of people just naturally and organically. He's better at expanding that sphere. Yeah. But a lot of agents, I think, focus too much on the social media, the marketing and stuff like that. Yeah. Not that that's a bad thing. It's a huge part of every business.
Yeah. Speaking of, we need to get a picture while we're here.
Yeah.
Right. Some of that stuff we need to do a lot better job of. Yeah. But we tend to focus on the transaction and taking care of our client, because we've found if you do a good job and if it's a smooth transaction and you get the client what they want,
that's your best marketing.
Then you're going to get the referrals.
Big time.
Not, they have 10,000 followers, not 800 followers. Yeah. Most people don't care about that. Yeah. Once they meet you, and that's where he's good. He gets us in front of the people. Once we're both in front of the people, we'll typically close them. You know, not only does our book of business and our pedigree speak for itself, but we earn their trust. That's the thing. Like, we're just real guys, and we will earn your trust. That's one thing we will do.
That's the key right there, like being real. And I think that's just what the world is kind of leaning more towards, authenticity.
Yeah.
In a lot of different ways. I mean, we see it politically. We see it also in business, but even in social media, because I remember not too long ago, what is it, like 5 years ago, like everybody would do this whole strategy where you'd pay for fake followers, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if you guys heard that strategy, where you pay for fake followers, and then the idea is, or the strategy like that, you know, that they had is like, pay for all these fake followers so that it seems like you have a big following, and then organically build up your real followers and then start deleting the fake followers, because you kind of have to fake it till you make it. So you kind of have to fake that you're a big deal in something, and then you start diminishing those things. But
kind of felt like that got figured out quick though, right? Because then people started focusing on engagement rather than following.
That's what it is. Yeah. See, because then that's authentic.
Right.
Like you can't fake that. And you could, to a certain extent, depending on who you paid, fake engagement. Did you ever see that?
Nah, like, a little bit.
The people that comment, and then you go to their page, and then like everybody that commented had like one follower.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that the world is shifting more towards authenticity, and what the previous generation tolerated, I guess, when it came to different personality traits, such as, you know, being one thing here and one thing here, I don't think is acceptable anymore. Now it's like you can't hide who you are.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't shoot the real you, somebody else is gonna shoot the real you, and then the person on social media is gonna like be like, you know, oh, that's who they are. But that's what I've always seen from you guys. You guys are just very authentic people.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, man.
If you look at the timing, like, because we started, you know, getting licensed in 08, 09, and then starting in 11, 12, 13. Facebook came out in 2007. Social media was just starting when we got into the business.
Yeah.
So the opportunity to be fake had just started, and people took advantage of it. So part of our pitch when we first started for the first few years, and it's kind of naturally gone away from that because we don't need to pitch it anymore, was we're like the anti-real estate agents. Like agents. Like, because you had a lot of real estate agents jumping on the social media bandwagon that had never sold a home in their life or sold one home a year. But they would have these fake followers, and they would all be a facade.
How did you guys?
We were the opposit of that, and it was giving agents, and it still gives agents a bad name because people see the stuff on social media.
Did you guys lose deals because you didn't have that?
No.
You know, it's funny. I think, you know, kind of going back to like the fake it till you make it or the flash in the pans. There are a lot of people in our industry that gain success really quickly, taking that avenue, but reputations build really fast in our industry. And so if you're not genuine or authentic, or you're out for yourself, you know, and you're not thinking about others, right? And with that genuine quality, then you get figured out pretty quickly and your business starts to fade, right? Or people kind of get the score on who you are. Whereas, you know, we did lose out on deals early on because maybe we weren't as aggressive as the other person, but that's not our style, right? Our goal is to be relationship building, to be there for the other person. And one thing that we've learned over time is if somebody works with us, they definitely work with us again. And we have a really long-term business with them.
Yeah.
So, so cool. You know, and you start to hear, the cream always rises to the top, right? You start to hear from people, oh, I worked with it such and such, and, you know, it was not a good deal, and these things went wrong, and da-da-da. Or they'll finish a deal with us, and they'll say, you know, a lot of clients will go direct to the listing agent because they just think it's the best situation, and oftentimes it's not. And then they'll work with us and they'll say, oh, I had no idea what it was like to have buyer representation or the importance of it until you guys walked us through the transaction, right? And so, we just build that trust over time. And it's our way of doing business is a long play in this industry. We're like playing for longevity for the long term. And there's a lot of people that make a lot of money quick, but I don't think they have as much longevity.
There's so much in that, guys, that I absolutely love, because like even what you just said, like it sounds good, but it's very hard to do. Because like if your play is long-term and you're like, no, we're trying to build a brand that's revolved around trust, that people have a positive experience, and we're not going to pressure you to, you know, do something that later on you're going to come back to and say, why did you have us do this, or all of that. I mean, that's cool. And I think that's awesome. That's great. Now, the challenge that presents is something that I'd like to get into is that naturally presents like, okay, well, you're going to miss out on a few deals. So then it's like, especially in the beginning of your guys's, like when you guys partnered up, how were the finances? Were you guys closing a lot of deals in a way that you could provide for your families? You could make a good, you could make great income and not have to do anything else? Or were you guys waiting tables at night and then doing your real estate stuff in the day? Like,
no, I think, good question.
That's where he was at the bar. I mean, we were in a position where he was able to tend bar for, I don't know how long it was that you did both. What was it?
I did both for a couple of years, and I did
like how many years?
Like 2.5 years. I was fully licensed. We were humming, and building business and prospecting and doing all that and trying to get deals.
And you were doing.
And I was still at I was still working marketing at the healthcare company for 2-3 years while I was able to transition. So I was at the point where this was right before we joined forces. I was selling a few homes a year, like for the few 2 to 4 years while I was still working a 9 to 5, a flexible 9 to 5, which was nice, which is hard to come by. A lot of people are in a position where they have to make that decision. Like, do I jump all the way in? And it's very hard for a part-time agent, an agent that has to walk in, talk to a client, and that client knows that they're doing another job. Like, it'd be very hard to hire someone to sell the biggest asset you own, knowing that person isn't full-time.
So you kind of have to hide it in a way and like be like this, like, not that you're, because you're like, because if, what it is, like if they see you doing the bartending stuff and then you're selling the home and then, but I guess, I don't know, it's tough though, guys, because
I don't know if I would agree with that. I think it would depend on your circle, right? In the relationship that I had in the beginning, it was like I wanted people to think that I was doing better than I was, right? Because that would give me confidence and give me credibility.
You and every realtor, like you and everybody that comes into this business.
But the way Marcus is with the people that he served at that bar, and it's to this day how we, like we just said, we build relationships.
Yeah.
He built relationships with those people. So there's people that had multi-million-dollar homes that would tell him, hey, when or if I sell my home, I know you're a bartender. I'm sitting in front of you right now. You just served me a beer, but you're going to be my guy. Because he built that relationship.
Yeah, I've still talked to those people. And I think I learned quickly that most people, there are people out there that care about the flashy things and they want to see that you're driving the Ferrari or whatever it is, right?
Sure.
But for the most part, most people, they just want to know you're a good person, that you're a genuine person, that you're a real person.
Yeah.
You got their best interests at heart. And it's a likability factor, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can have a good conversation with someone and they enjoy being around you, then they're going to want to work with you too. And so we kind of, speaking for me, like I got away from trying to be somebody that I wasn't pretty quickly and just sticking being me, right? And yeah, we lost out on some deals in the beginning, but I think we found that our success rate in a listing appointment is very high because people get to see who we are on a more intimate scale. And that's become more and more prevalent, and we've had more and more opportunities of that as the years have gone by, and the long play is great. I should say one other thing too, coming up, you asked about working and transitioning into real estate and like how was that providing for your family?
Yep.
This wouldn't be a real podcast if we didn't shout out our wives. They both work and they both supported us big time, and could not be where we're at without them. And love Shannon, love you, baby. So yeah, none of this works without the support of Kate and Shannon for sure.
Bro, that's awesome. That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, even once we started going, like the ups and downs of the industry that everyone goes through, they're there the whole time.
Bro, I was just having the same conversation with my brothers, and they're like 4 years into the business, and it's the same thing, bro. Like it's because there's this potential that this brand can grow to, and you see it, right? You see, like, man, if we just continue to do this, we'll get to the point where we'll get paid, I mean, and it's not like we're not making any money. Like, yeah, we're closing a few deals here and there, but it's like you believe in your brand so much that you're like, no, one of the years we're going to close 100 deals. One of the years we're going to close 50. One of the years we're going to close so many, whatever. And then in those years, it's going to be worth it. All this struggle that we've gone through, So it's like you keep holding on to that. But meanwhile, you have to keep the hope alive. How? By just figuring it out, making things happen. Especially these past 2 years, man. Like, this is like a big bump in the road for a lot of different people. I would say more than a bump in the road. A lot of people are like, man, this is crazy.
This is an opportunistic time for somebody who's in this for the long play, though, because markets like this come around where things slow down, and it's really tough to be a 1 or 2 deal a year agent and not have another job now, and when the inventory goes down and the market dries up the way it is, thankfully prices are holding, right? But, those agents leave the market. And so there's market share that's up for grabs for agents that are full-time agents weathering the storm, right? Mm-hmm. And, we've gotten some great advice from agents like Dave Walter, who's like very candid and transparent. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
And, he said basically his best years, he's gone through a few market downturns, and his best years are when he doubles down when the market turns and he picks up more market share. And that's, been our mentality this whole time is, okay, we've had a few good years, let's bankroll some of that and roll it into the bad years so that we can gain market share, get more exposure, increase our branding, things like that.
How's that help this time right now? Because I know,
definitely. Yeah. I think agents in general are having a tough time these last couple of years. This year's been better. Rates certainly have not helped, and we see it's really rate dependent, the market right now. But the conversation's important. There's a lot of people out there that, there's a lot of people sitting on homes that they want to get out of, but even a lateral move is doubling their payment, right? And there are a lot of buyers out there that are worried about making a payment, where the rates are, given that prices have held, And so they want advisement on what's the future look like? How do I piece this together? The competition's so crazy on a house that I really love. How do I get into something that I really like, right? Or how do I make that jump to the next place? And so being able to talk strategy on that. The biggest thing we're doing right now is just getting out and talking to people and meetings, lunches, answering questions, being as real as possible.
Yeah. No, we live in a unique and we work in a unique market where there's no new products being built. Like the existing inventory is what it is. The demand is through the roof because of certain variables. So, operating where we operate, you have to, like you said, you earn the trust of these buyers coming in. They're paying a premium, but you got to make them feel good about it, and a lot of them do. Same thing on the listing side. A lot of the people that we work with, our clients, have lived in their homes for a long time. So when they finally make that tough decision to sell, they got to feel good about how it all unravels and plays out.
Are you guys pretty even with like the buyers and sellers, or is it more
I'd say we're 50-50
more
listings and buys.
Okay.
Pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it ebbs and flows. Sometimes there's more listings, sometimes there's more purchases. It also depends on what kind of inventory there is in the market. Like our farm, for example, is just shy of 700 homes. Yeah. And the last 12 years, up until 22 basically, 45 to 60 deals a year, 45 to 60 sales, no problem. And the last 2 years have been like 8 to 15 sales. So, it's thin right now. And that's one of the reasons prices are holding is even though interest rates are high, there's no substitute property for somebody to go out and get. And it's...
Are you saying 8 to 15 sales as a team, or are you saying...
No, I'm saying in the whole farm.
In the 700 house market.
Yeah.
So you guys are farming agents in that specific area.
Yeah.
That's your strategy. That's
one of our strategies. We have a bunch of avenues where we generate business. Sphere
but is that your main one?
No. I think Sphere is probably our main one, and referral. Right. That's a big part of our business. But the more legs you have out in our business,
100%,
the more like recession-proof you can be from that, right? Because if one dries up, the other one's still feeding.
1,000%.
Right? So farm's been tough right now just because inventory's so low. But we're pushing through.
The farm that we target also, Marcus lives in the middle of that farm. I live 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of it's nice because there's a lot, and the schools that our kids go to are right in the middle of the farm.
Because you guys are in Westlake. Is it? Do you guys farm that octagon? No,
that's Westlake Hills.
Okay.
No, we don't. But that's a similar development to the neighborhood that we live in. Where I live is called First Neighborhood.
Yeah.
But it's similar in the respect of green belts, school in the middle of the community, lots of cul-de-sacs.
I I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
There's some good overlap with our sphere and the farm, which is nice. So even when the farm's not turning like we want it to, our sphere, you know, they're getting our pieces, they're getting reminded that we're in the business, doing business. So it's good. It's a nice overlap.
No, and the reality is that it's tough because even sphere, the only people that are selling are the people that have to, because, you know, a lot of them have this 3% interest rate that they're going to have to let go of to get into like you know, how do you navigate that?
Well, it's a funny conversation. I don't find that it's just people that have to. I think, you know, there are people that want a little more space, or their business is doing a little bit better, and they're biting off a bigger payment to do that, but it's working for their family or their needs, right? But yeah, or, you know, there's a lot of people.
amount of people like that in Westlake that do that?
There's a decent amount of people.
Well, because essentially a lot of them are pretty successful business agents, but financially I mean, if you live in Westlake, you're doing pretty well for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely an affluent area. Most people are doing well, but, you know, every situation is different. I think most of the buying community in our area is coming from the city or the San Fernando Valley, and people are working their way out towards us.
Oh, I see.
We get if you have an open house, 80% of the people that walk through are going to be people looking to move
from the
out.
valley.
Yeah, from either the city or the valley.
Wow, that's smart. Oh, right. From the west side or from the valley.
Yeah. Because of the variables you said, there's not many people moving from Agora to Westlake or Thousand Oaks to Westlake or Westlake to Oak Park. It's mostly Studio City, Sherman Oaks coming out. They're like, oh, wow, we heard about this area. And the prices out there in those markets are just as crazy as they are in our market. So price per foot, you're in Studio City or Sherman Oaks, you're looking at Westlake, and you know you're $200-300 a foot cheaper, and you're looking at the schools, bigger yards, pools, all that stuff. Their eyes light up in those open houses. Those are the young families and buyers that we're working with, bringing them out our direction.
That's smart. Cool. That's smart. That's really smart. Yeah, because that's a whole market that's, you know, a lot of them don't really know too much about. And you get over the drive, right? Like it's, you know, it's like
it's a big obstacle, and people will come out and see a house, and then they'll come out and test the drive. They'll want to see it during traffic hour. They'll ask about it. What's the commute to this or that? You know. And my wife used to commute to Glendale from where we live in Westlake.
This is the problem with like here in the valley. All these noises you see. There's sirens coming up right now. I don't even know if you can hear them on the camera, but. Earlier, somebody honked the horn. You know, we're next to Jack in the Box. You know, so but that's part of. You know, it's a little bit nicer in that sense. You know,
it's a little. It's quieter, slower. Town goes to sleep a little earlier, and I think a lot of people like that. That's where like most people that are like trying to raise a family. That's what the ideal, right? You asked about the rate conversation, and there's a conversation that we have with people on that. It's the same one. We believe this is the right move for somebody that is definitely looking to buy, but they're suffering from market competition and they keep losing out. You know, the best advice that we're giving people, and it sounds backwards, but the long play is great because people are focusing on rate or price, right? And they're like, oh, I'm going to wait for prices to come down, or I'm going to wait for rates to come down. But the problem with that is if either of those things happen, that's what everyone else is doing too, right? And so you're competing with everyone. So if either of those come down, all the buying activity gets crazy again. You end up multiple bids on one house, paying significantly over asking, and then you end up paying more than you thought you would. So the best strategy is, and it sounds backwards, is buy while the rates are high, right? When the rates are high, there's nobody in the buying pool. You can go out and get the house that you want. And if you can stomach a little bit of a higher payment for a little bit, then you can refinance that rate when they pull back and everybody else jumps in. You don't have to compete for the rate. You just walk into the bank and you say, hey, I'm ready to refinance. And you just reduce your payment. So you piece together that payment and make it smaller, right?
Yeah, that's good.
People have to have a little bit of faith in the process. But the people that have done that over the last few years have had the best outcomes.
Well, the only thing about that is that, which I get that, and I think that's great. The challenge with that is that a few years ago, I heard that strategy like that, like, what is it, like, 2 years ago, everybody was saying that strategy, and it's like, oh, it's going to change next year. Oh, it's going to change next year. And then meanwhile, you have this whole...
There have been times, you know, what happened with COVID and rates, in my opinion, it sent everything out of whack so much that there's this huge sense of, you know, fear of missing out, FOMO, that anytime the rates peel back just a little bit, everybody jumps back in. And everyone's recent memory is COVID, right? And the market in COVID was crazy. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars over asking, 20 plus offers on one property. You know, that's what's in people's most recent memory. And so that's what they think the buying behavior is like, right? And so anytime there's a deal or a sale, right, and the rates drop a little bit, 1%, 0.5%, that's the mentality that everybody jumps back in, right? And so I think, and hopefully they're trying to incrementally bring rates down over a long period of time. And maybe we'll see that, you know, in the next 2 or 3 years, but there have been opportunities, right? I mean, rates peaked at 9, they peaked at 4, then they peaked at 6, then they peaked at 9. Right now we're at, you know, 6 3/4, something like that, right? We were, before the election, we were down to 6, right? And so there are opportunities, you know, if you buy at 7.5 and it drops to 6, you could have refinanced and shaved off quite a bit of money from your payment. So, you know, and you can refinance more than once, you know, it's just an opportunistic thing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. How do, because I know you brought up your wives. How do you guys, what do you guys do to, you know, run
careful with the
I know.
careful.
No, because it's, you know, it's real. And, you know, how do you guys focus on running a business and are pushing that, and, you know, you have your challenges there. And I feel like, you know, when you're in business, especially when you're negotiating, like you have this sword out and you're like, you know, fighting people and you're like, bro, no, you know, I'm representing my buyer, representing my seller, whatever. And then you come home and then it's like totally different dynamic, because both of you guys have kids, or both of you guys have kids. And so you come from this dynamic into this dynamic. Like, what do you guys do to be successful in this front and then also be successful in this front?
I used to bring that home a lot. You know, I would carry the weight of the stress of my client, and I just wouldn't be as present when I was home with my family, right? And you know, I'd be there, but I'd be thinking, the wheels would be turning on how to fix a problem, or what's the worst case scenario, or whatever. And I just felt like I was missing out a lot on experiencing moments with my family. And I also I came to find that the worst case scenario ended up not happening. And even if it did, it was a fixable situation, right? And so now, you know, we just try to be really level-headed about it. And I think Chad and I both know that at our heart of hearts, we're as well-intentioned or more well-intentioned than anyone out there in our industry. And, you know, we're doing our best with their best interests at heart. And the guidance that we're giving is, you know, ultimately going to give them what they need. And it's, like I said, well-intentioned. So I'm at peace with that now. And I don't let like another agent, you know, who's trying to attack me or something, I'll say, hey, listen, that's cool. This is what it is, you know.
So do you feel like when agents first start, the reason why their home life suffers so much is because you're out here, like, you're trying to prove yourself, and you're trying to prove like your benevolence, like your goodness, like you're trying to say, like, you're trying to make a name for yourself. And so it comes at a price, and that price, a lot of the times what you're saying is lack of attention here?
I think for me, the stress didn't come so much from proving myself or like, you know, making people feel like I was like worthy of this level, right?
Sure.
It was more so, most of the people we're dealing with, you know, a home is a huge asset for somebody, right? And there's a lot of stress and emotions involved with somebody buying a house, right? Or selling their house, right? And you don't want to be the person that helped them make a wrong decision, right? And so you carry this weight like really heavy with you to make sure that the best outcome is happening for them, right? And then there's a point where you feel so confident that you're like, I know that I'm helping them get the best outcome. You know, then you don't carry it as much with you. You feel confident in your work, right? And, you know, we're lucky, the broker that we're with, it has given us such great guidance, you know, and
very wise,
great legal department, you know, and we've always been able to lean on just really great guidance, really great advice.
So has that helped you out? So has that helped you out in your home? Like, what, because you were saying before, I was so, you know, worried about, okay, it's not necessarily proving myself, but it's doing the best that I can for these people because I understand how much trust they're putting in me. And so when did that start changing? Like, when did you start, like?
Yeah, that happened for a few years, and then we quickly learned we haven't had that problem in a while. But
Because not everybody learns that, bro. Like, and not,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Because I don't think, because I think you have to have the emotional maturity to be like, this is what's going on, and this is why I'm doing this. Because I think once you know that, see, because what you were describing is like, okay, well, I was being this way, but a lot of people, it's like they excuse it. It's like, oh, it's just work. Like, and you know what, son, you know what, daughter, I have to work. Right. You know what, my wife, like, I gotta work. I gotta get this done. So that's kind of like the excuse. But I think you're going deeper with that, and you're saying, well, no, I really want to do a good job to them because I know the amount of trust that they're putting in me. But what you've realized is that it can take, tomorrow is a new day, and it can take care of it tomorrow. I don't have to like bring that stress here. I could just let it go. Some cases, obviously, you're gonna pick up the phone, but in most cases, things can get done tomorrow. So even that little breakthrough right there.
Yeah. To that point, actually, a big turning point for me was there was a point where I had to start setting boundaries, right? And one of the big things for Chad and I is we're always available, right? And if you need something, we're gonna pick up, we're gonna answer, right? And a lot of times those phone calls would come during family time. So you have to step out, and then you have a fire, or what somebody thinks is a fire, in their head. And it kind of jumbles you up, and then you gotta get off that phone and come back to your family, and you're just off at that point, right? And so it left me not feeling present, right? And so there was almost nothing that happens that can't wait a couple hours, right? And I made the decision to be like, hey, listen, I'm not available during these times. Mm-hmm. But if you give me a message, I'm gonna get back to you, or Chad will get back to you. But if I'm coaching my daughter in soccer, or I'm at a dance recital, got 2 girls, so it's a lot of those types of things.
Even more of a reason why you gotta be present. They pick up on that stuff quick, man.
Big time, yeah, big time.
Yeah.
And that was a huge change for me, and just being like, put the phone down when I'm with them. It'll be there when I get back, and then once.
But how does that exist? And also, I'm available anytime. How do both of those exist?
I think a lot of what Marcus is saying kind of also comes naturally just with experience. Because when you're first starting in real estate, you're transacting homes. Every deal is different. Every client's different. You come across challenges that are different in every single deal. So more deals you do, the more relaxed you are, because you know things are gonna be all right. In the beginning, something pops up that isn't a really big deal, but you think it's a big deal because you've never seen it before.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be horrible. The deal's gonna die, the client's gonna be pissed. But then you do a few dozen, you do 100 deals, whatever the number is, you've seen that before, and you've seen how it played out. You've seen how it played out a few different times. So you naturally feel a little bit better because there's no surprise, or there's not as many surprises, and they're not big surprises. So for me, that's the thing. And that's what a lot of agents don't do. They don't take the time to learn the fundamentals of the business and the transaction. Because the more comfortable you are with the fundamentals, the more relaxed you'll be. It's just like sports. The more you dribble at home and practice, you get into the game, and your muscle memory kicks in.
Right.
You don't have to think about dribbling the ball. Your body does it for you.
Right.
Same thing in a lot of industries, but it's very heavy in real estate because of how big each transaction is, and you're not doing multiple transactions a day. They're, sometimes they're spread out. So it's about experience. And a new agent has to fight through that first, however long that is for that agent, and focus on getting good at their job.
Good. That's what it is.
Yeah, you asked how are you available all the time?
Yeah.
But then put the phone down. I think, we started, it's kind of a long-winded answer, right? So we started by saying we're available anytime. And we are. We're more available than most agents, after hours or early mornings or whatever, right? Get 6 a.m. texts and we'll respond if we're awake, or 11 p.m. texts, right?
Yeah.
But we had to transition to having our space, right? It's for your health. It's the best thing for our family, our mental health, right?
Yeah.
And what we both found is it's more important over the long term of a professional relationship with somebody. They get to know your sense of calm and your sense of experience, right? By seeing that you're available at 11 p.m. for a quick text, or an early one, or you step out for a call, and then you set those boundaries to be like, but this is when I'm with my family, right? And there's another really big aspect to this that I think is understated is a big part of like a successful agent, I think, is bringing a sense of calm to a transaction, right? For most people, it can be a stressful and anxious 30-day process, 60-day process, however long it takes. And there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of paperwork, right? And there's a lot of guidance that they need. Who do I ask? Who do I talk to? What am I supposed to do? What does this mean, right? Is this big deal? Is this a little deal? And the voice on the other end of that phone, the way it sounds, the advice they give, the people they refer, right, for the proper guidance, it translates to how that person's gonna feel when they're buying or selling that house, right? And if you can set the tone for somebody to make them feel like everything's okay because they're in good hands, then the rest works itself out. And they'll give you your space during your family time, right? Because they know that you got them. You know?
You're saying set the proper expectations and set the proper set the proper expectations so that not everything becomes a fire drill.
Right. Yeah, like they'll know if something's a big deal or a little deal, or they know that this came up. Marcus has it. Don't worry, Chad's got it.
Yeah.
At cruise control, right? And that's where we're at now, and it's great.
It's a good place. Yeah, that's
you
good,
know,
man. That's good.
Takes a little bit more proving, right? Yeah. And sometimes somebody will go with someone else, but they'll still call us for advice.
Yeah.
And we see, you know,
those are the worst, huh?
Well, it stings a little bit, but we see that as opportunity, right?
That's true for the future.
Yes. Hey, I'm with this person, and you know, I'm still not confident in this, and like, what's up? Wow, you know, and that's an opportunity for us to be like, hey, don't worry, this is what we would do, or this is what we've seen, or you know, this is who you should call for this. But it's all gonna be good one way or the other, man. Just, you know. And people appreciate that. Or after the deal, we'll get a referral from that person. Or if they buy another house another time, they'll call us up and they'll say, you know, you made me feel so good about that. You know. So again, it's a long-term play.
No, but that's exactly what it is. It's a long-term play. I heard this thing. It said, well, you can always build a business, but your kids won't always be 0 to 13.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. After that age, they want nothing to do with you. So how old are your guys' kids?
7 and 5.
7 and 5? Okay, so you're right there.
10 and 6. Daughter's 10.
10.
Yeah. 10.
Bro, we're all right there.
6.
I have 4 and they're all under the age of 10.
Oh, yeah, man.
So we're all right there in this like season of our lives where like we want to build and we want like, you know, to, you know, set up these organizations and do all that and help as many people as we can. But at the same time, we have, you know, this unit at home that truly like, that's one thing that I see in this generation of fathers. Like this generation of fathers, it's very rare nowadays that you see like a, you know, a deadbeat dad, you know, like whereas back then, it was like, oh, you're not part of your son's family or your, you know, your family. Oh, me too.
Yeah. It's funny, you know, when I was a kid, I had a fine upbringing, you know, whatever, but I remember little things like my parents were
it's not
busy
whatever.
all the
That's
time.
a big deal, bro. That's everything.
Yeah. Well, that's another
next
podcast.
episode.
Yeah. That's everything. That sets
completely.
you up, man. That sets you up completely to do so many different things. Like a good father, like I say this all the time, it's like, think about, you know, bears out in the woods, okay? So if a cub, for some reason, gets separated from his, let's keep him in mind, gets separated from his dad, all right? Here you have one that does have his dad. They'll follow the same road that the grandfather did, that the father did, and now he's walking in those paths. Doesn't have to, you know, figure it out and clear his own paths, and he has advice, he has guidance, you know. So it's not a big deal, bro. It's everything. I hear you speak, and I'm like, you know, a lot of these lessons, dude, you don't learn until like you go through, like you bash your head on walls, and like you're like, you know, spent a lot of money, like you've made a lot of dumb mistakes. I'm telling you, because I'm that guy.
Yeah,
you know what
me
I'm saying?
too.
So bro, like, you know, when I see that, and when somebody says I had great parents, like they taught me, like, you know, I'm like, bro, that's amazing. That's what I want to be for my kids.
Totally. I remember going back to like being present with our kids. I remember like we had a basketball hoop when I was a kid in our driveway, and I was really young. I was probably like 5 or 6. And it was a 10-foot hoop, and I was trying to get the ball up. I couldn't make a basket. I couldn't make a basket for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. I was trying.
Still can't.
Yeah. I keep going. Almost touch the net. Yeah.
Still can't get it up to 10 foot.
But I'm out there, and finally one day I throw it up, it goes off the backboard and goes in, and I am ecstatic. I'm like, oh my God, who saw it? I run inside and I tell my parents. And it's like they were too busy to be excited, you know. And it was the biggest deal to me. And you know, I just remember that, and now I see like all the little milestones that my kids are experiencing, and the smile that hits their face, and it's the best feeling as a dad. And I want them to see the same smile and excitement in my face on all of those. And so that's why it's so important to me. Put the phone down. Make sure you witness it. Make sure you see it, and make sure you're excited with them. You know, because it's everything.
So what you guys are saying is that's important, and if you want to keep doing that while at the same time building your business, building your brand, and continuing to do that because you have to do that and you want to do that, get more experience, because a lot of the things aren't like in the real, like if you really in retrospect, if you see that and if you think back 2 years ago, what was more important, that basketball hoop or that phone call that the parents are taking? And at that time, it's not the phone call, it's the kids. And I see that because I see that with myself a lot. And right now I'm just thinking, like a few days ago, my son came up to me and he was so proud of like something that he had, but I was in conversation with my wife, and at first I didn't, pay too much attention. I was like, oh, that's cool. But then afterwards it was like, I felt that, I got that feeling, and I'm like, you know what, let me sit down, and you just reminded me of that moment. You reminded me of the moment, and I think right now I'm being reminded of truly how important those moments are, and how I want to be present for that stuff. I still want to be successful in business, but not at the sake of me being a crap father.
Exactly.
Totally. How do you juggle it with so many kids?
Well, I mean, the more
probably they all want to share their moments with you at the same time.
It's tough because, a strategy that we got at the beginning of the year, I think we kind of dropped the ball towards the middle of the year, but we were consistently doing it, is like every Wednesday nights, I'd have a date night with each one of them. You know what I'm saying? So like,
huge.
Like I would just take one of them out, and then it's like we cycle through different date nights between me. So even for me to take all my kids out, it's like a month, right? So,
but they all get their alone time with dad, which is huge.
Yeah.
And I feel like you see it in them long after that 100%. Date night. They're happy, they feel content.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it does such a big deal. A father provides identity for their children, and that's, like you're who your father says you are. You know what I mean? In your formative years. Once you grow up, it's you walk in your own identity. You find who your father helps you even walk into that. But I think especially in the beginning, if your father says something about you, that those words have a lot of weight. They
carry heavier weight.
Yeah, they have a lot of weight on them. And so if you have a father here whose only focus is to build his brand, build his business, and do all that, then I think you're in a pretty precarious situation, because building your brand, building your business is important until it isn't.
Yeah.
A
big time.
I think a lot of it too is like we're all business owners. We work for ourselves. We can set our own hours to a certain degree and all that stuff, which a lot of people don't have that luxury. It's embracing it. It's when, it's the middle of the day and you do get to go to that practice or school pickup and you're there, instead of thinking, oh, I could be in another appointment, or I could be making a call, or I could be doing this. It's embracing what you're actually doing, and not, that's what I not struggle with, but I try to balance that, is enjoying that moment, like, and not always thinking about, oh, I could be building my business or making more money or trying to make more money. It's like, just enjoy the moment. Enjoy the fact that you're able to do that you have that option, because some people don't do that.
Do you guys have mentors around you that like have had kids and like now, are like, hey, that sit with you and talk to you, and like, you're like?
There are some agent mentors, I call them like quasi mentors, We always like to try to sit down with other agents that are, successful or have longevity in this business, and we'll take them out to lunch and try to share ideas and brainstorm, and we find a lot of value in that. But like from a life perspective, there were some like father figure type people in my life, and mother figure type people too, that, you know, my friends' parents and things like that. And they would give me good advice, or they would like show me the way via their behavior, you know, and I think I just got a sense for, boy, that feels good, you know, and I want more of that. I want to exude more of that for me with my family, right? And those are the kind of the memories that I hang on to, and the things I think about when I'm trying to make good decisions for me, my kids.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. I mean, now more than ever, like I see the importance of that for me personally. Like, you know, like I told you guys earlier, like you know, our childhood was, you know, we had a lot of different gaps in a lot of different ways. And so that left me as, you know, kind of an incomplete man. You know, I had to figure a lot of things out on my own. But now that, I would say this completely shifted, I would say about 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, whereas I was more purposely looking for older people that I could kind of glean from, you know, purposely, strategically take out the coffee, or purposely, strategically, like just meet them somewhere. And quite honestly, if I'm being completely real, like this is one of the main reasons why I'm doing this podcast, you know, because I'm so curious. I want to learn, like I want to continue to grow. And I think that there's a lot that, you know, like a conversation this brings to my life. It enriches me and it challenges me, and, you know, it gets me out of my bubble so that I can go further.
Big time. The amount of value you're getting just in little tidbits from all the people you sit down with, and all the different success stories. Everybody does things a little differently, right?
Yeah.
And you just 100%. Get to piece this together, make your own thing. It's
awesome. Exactly, and make my own thing. But that's the beauty now about podcasts, because like you don't have to have Patrick Bet David is my mentor. It's like, what, really? You joined his mastermind? I might next year. But meanwhile, he's my, you know, I'm listening to a bunch of his podcasts.
No, I got a private mastermind with him.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So like now with podcasts and books, a lot of that stuff is accessible if you're intentional.
Definitely. There's some great stuff out there. I also find, you know, people say this a lot, and it's something I agree with though, is the people you surround yourself with will kind of drive the person you're going to be, right? And so like, and I say that in the sense of like, when you have like successful minded people, or people that want to, you know, have an upward trajectory professionally, personally, whatever, right? And you surround yourself with that all the time, then you start having those same ideologies, right? You want to do those are the same things that are important to you, right? And I think it helps us think really outside the box sometimes when we're falling stagnant. You know, it helps us get creativity if we're trying to do something different, or show more value, or just kind of even make a change, right? You know, and I thank those people a lot for being such a positive influence on me.
No, big time. And it's just being, but I think that's just also part of growing up, just recognizing and having the emotional maturity to say, I have these gaps, like I make these mistakes, or like knowing when you're stuck, like, you know, I can't figure this thing out with my wife, I can't figure this out as a father, you know, and, you know, just reach out, whether it's, you know, read a book, you know, or listen to a podcast, or have a conversation with someone, be like, look, man, you know, how did you do this? Like, how did you do that?
Oh yeah.
I think that's really important. That's like a journey that I'm on. So I appreciate that. No, it's good, guys. It's cool. I think you guys, man, it's so cool what you guys are doing, because I see exactly that. You guys are building a brand that's like, you know, that's going to have longevity. Like you think of Dave Walters, like Dave Walter was where you guys are now, you know, at one point. But if you keep going, you know, you're the new Dave Walters in like a few years from now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's this whole cycle that I see, you know, and yeah. So it's exciting to be like, we have the potential to sit down on this couch in 20 years from now and think of the conversations we're going to have.
Hopefully it's a new couch, but yeah.
In a place like this.
The cool thing is the business changes almost every year. The industry changes, and it's going to change a lot more in the next 20 years. So that keeps it exciting too. You're not, you know, clocking in doing the same thing every day. You know, the assets that you're selling change, the market changes. You know, it's so
the documents change.
The documents change every week. But it keeps it exciting. You know, and it keeps you on your toes too. But you know, there's opportunity within our industry. You know, we're real estate agents. We buy and sell. We take care of our clients. We work with a lot of investors, flippers, developers, and stuff like that. And that's exciting too. We try to get involved in other areas of real estate. diversify our business in that regard. So that's also fun to do, and that's what agents need to do. They need to do that. You can't be, you don't want to only be putting out open house signs when you're 65 years old. You want to be putting out some signs, but also have a portfolio of your own real estate. Have, work with the, developers and flippers and stuff like that. You got to do that stuff.
The way that I see it is like, because you bring up a good point, like you don't want to be putting out open signs at 65, unless you want to. Because
nothing against the 65. We will be doing it, but
bro,
just.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I see a lot of realtors.
Yeah.
I saw the realtors like, man, like, no, I just love this. Like, we have a lot of clients that it's like, like they don't have to be doing this, but they're doing it because they love it. They love it so much. But yeah, I also see that it's wise to have an exit strategy.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right, and the things that I just said will allow you to build that exit strategy, potentially if you want it. That's why there's a lot of agents that can't get out because they've never acquired their own properties. They didn't build that portfolio. It's something that,
so
we
what's
have
the goal?
our eye
like,
on.
Is it like, I'm gonna buy a house a year? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely we'd like to manage a portfolio of properties on our own.
Yeah.
I am fascinated by the Airbnb model.
Yeah.
Airbnb.
Have you guys ever messed with that, Airbnb?
Don't own any Airbnb properties, no.
Yeah.
There's a lot of regulation coming down on that, so
yeah.
I know a lot of people getting snake bit.
I was thinking about, like, my wife's like really like, because now, okay, so I'll tell you, I feel like I'm saying this every episode, but whatever, this is where I'm at. So I'm barely buying my first house. Yeah. I've never owned property before. Yeah, dude, I've never owned property before. I like to say that it's because I've been building businesses, but that's part of it.
That's awesome.
Another part of it is that I just, I didn't know, like I just, even though I know I like, what do you mean, Pablo? You guys have shot like thousands of homes, You could have just bought one of them. I know, and there were a lot of opportunities, but like I said, I think it's, I just, ignorant in a lot of different ways. So, but now I'm buying my first home, and that's such a big deal. Like it's a big breakthrough, and it's awesome.
Thanks for calling us. That's cool.
I know. No, my brothers, they gave me a hand, with that. Actually, I don't think you want it. Anyways, if I get into the specifics, you're like, oh yeah, use your brothers.
Who's the listing agent?
It's like right down the street from where I currently live. So it's on.
Oh, nice. You don't have to move
Northridge. No, it's right there. It's right there in Northridge.
Awesome.
When are you gonna close?
I'm due to close on the 21st of December.
Oh, yeah. Christmas.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, like right around there.
Do your kids know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, this is a whole family thing, bro. Like
I know, but some, it'd be cool Christmas gift to give your kids.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Merry Christmas.
Well, I don't think they'd be too happy because the house doesn't look that nice.
Here's a new water heater.
Yes. Don't worry. You get to make it your own.
Toys.
It's tankless.
We got
tankless water heater.
Here's a home warranty plan.
That house does need a new water heater, bro. It's so, I mean, it's in a nice area.
Yeah.
The comps are great. So if you look at it from that perspective, it's like, it's a good flip,
it's good timing,
So,
it's good. Now make it your own.
Yeah.
Get all the equity yourself.
100%. That's exactly the goal. Yeah. How did we get into this? I was going.
You said you're in the process of buying your first home.
Yeah. Well, that's where I'm at. But we were getting somewhere.
Buying, selling, flipping,
Airbnbs.
Boom.
That's what it is. So we're doing that, and so now we're like gun ho, like we're gonna buy a house every year. That's the goal.
Slow down. Let's
move
into the first one. Let's get the water heater installed first.
Yeah. Well, cut your teeth on it and see how you'll learn a lot.
Well, because
great.
There are like three main things to become wealthy, right? It's your real estate, entrepreneurship, and paper wealth, right? Which the stocks and all that stuff. So I don't really mess with stocks, little. I love entrepreneurship, man. I think that with entrepreneurship,
I know that about you.
No, with entrepreneurship, bro, like it's limitless. And it doesn't take so long. Like real estate, like you invest in something, like what you're saying, your strategy is like, it's going to take 10 years. It's going to take a while, before you're actually like, so, but it's tried and true.
It's your retirement.
You're not going to fail. Yeah. It's great retirement. Yeah. So, and the barrier to entry is a lot higher because, you have to have some money to do that. But now that's another thing that we're looking at, real estate. So, it's like, I'm following your guys' lead, and I'm like, dude, I got to do that. So she mentioned the whole Airbnb thing. It's like a whole thing, bro. We just had a conversation with our accountant.
One thing we're looking, because the barrier to entry, especially out here, is obviously a lot greater than some other markets.
Sure.
So we haven't pulled the trigger yet on a grand scale, but we're always looking for other markets out of state because prices, it's more affordable.
I see.
Better cash flow potential, more upside and stuff like that. So we're always looking at other markets, and we have networks 100%. Across the country, where we can.
Too.
You mean for Airbnb, the Airbnb
everything
stuff?
For everything.
Oh, I see.
Everything,
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
No, and I would say, because the Airbnb model is great, if you're going to look to buy an Airbnb when you're looking with your wife, make sure that if you buy an Airbnb in City X, and if City X says, hey, now you can't Airbnb it, make sure that rental works on a regular long-term rental.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because a lot of people, like Marcus said, are getting crushed.
Yeah, you should be crunching numbers to
make
sure.
They bought 5 in one city, and that city now doesn't allow it, and the numbers don't pencil out on a long-term rental.
There were homes. People got crushed in Palm Springs.
Wow.
And your fallback should always be like, okay, if this doesn't work, do I cover my nut?
Yeah.
If I'm renting this long-term traditional renting, right?
Yeah.
Because you get a big premium if you do Airbnb. There's more management in that, but
No, and the only reason that even came up is because we went over the decision of the house with our accountant, and our accountant looked at all the numbers. He's like, "This is a dumb decision." He's like, "I'm like, yeah." Really? He's like, "This is dumb." Like, yeah, because I love my accountant being straight up with me because I'm like, dude, if you're not straight up with me, like,
if the comps are there, it sounds like it's a good decision.
Yeah, but he's looking at it strictly from a tax perspective. He's like, well, we can't. He's basically saying that it's better to use this for business than to us living it ourselves. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah, but at a certain point, you're making a family decision, not a business decision.
That's what it is, and that's what it is. See, for me, that's like learning all this stuff, and that didn't come into I'm learning all this stuff. You see, so like getting all this advice and understanding, like, okay, there's tax decisions. Okay, well, there's business decisions. Okay, well, there's things that like, even though that's true. But long term, this is what's going on here.
There's a lot of real estate minds greater than ours that have said, do not look at your personal residence as an investment. Look at it as where you live, where your home is, where your family is. You will end up doing well and making money on it. It is a good investment. But don't think of it just as an investment. Think of it as your home.
100%.
If you're going to invest in other properties, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But the numbers and crunching the numbers. Real tight on your personal residence will drive you crazy.
I fall somewhere in the middle on that opinion.
Me too.
Personally.
I know. That's why I said other minds, not us. I think it's a great, but it'll drive you crazy though.
Where do you fall?
I don't know. I think your home can be a great way to leapfrog into stepping up your life.
Yeah.
I think
like Jordan's strategy, like Jordan's strategy.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that live that have that strategy. And I think it's a brilliant one. And you can, if you're buying a house that's a fixer and the comps are there, and you're going to fix it up, you're going to live in there for a few years, and there's capital gains exemptions, and it's your primary residence, and
sense.
You make all this money, and you're like, hey, my business is doing a little bit better now, and now I have a bunch of equity in my home that I can roll over as a down payment to a bigger or better home.
That's the idea.
That makes it a lot easier to make that jump to the next level than it would be for you to just sit back and save all that money, right?
Yeah.
And so, that's a big vehicle to leapfrog for success, right? Now, a lot of people are, I want to buy one home. This is my forever home, and I don't want to. And that's much more a family decision for people. But people that aren't so attached to their homes or want to use that model, right? Then I think a home can be definitely there's a business consideration in there too, right? There's obviously a family decision, right? Like, you're not going to just buy anywhere. You want to be in a community that's family friendly, that your kids can ride their bikes, a good school or things like that, right? But all those factors come together.
Yeah, and I think all those factors are coming together with this particular house for me, because it just, everything you're saying is, it's pretty much the scenario, so it makes a lot of sense. So I'm excited, guys, but like I said,
I think that is exciting. You should be. That's awesome, dude. Congrats.
Yeah. And it's all part of the journey, and it's all part of the story, again, in 20 years in a different couch.
Your wife's got to be excited to design her own place, and
my gosh,
they put a vision together, right?
We're so pumped up.
Look at all this, dude.
Yeah, she's really good. Yeah, we're so pumped up. It's just, but it's a journey. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna, it's all a journey. Because I've always been like this. I get a little bit of money because I saved up, and I'm like, this business idea sounds good. Yeah. So we do that. So we've been doing that for like many, many years. Yeah. And so now it's like, well, I have this idea, but anyways, there's different there's different ways to do it. So
live in the house for a little bit before you do major changes.
Really?
Yeah. Because you want to see how you live in it, right?
Yeah.
What if you like do a big functional change and you're 6 months down the road, you're like, I actually wish I did it this way, right?
You're the second person that tells me that. You're the second person that tells me that.
Fix the water heater though. That's the must.
Fix the
yeah.
Maybe we don't need hot water.
Well, make it functional.
You don't need hot water.
Who needs a sink?
It's funny, man.
But yeah, we have clients that move in, and literally, we have one right now. We have, that you move in and you start doing stuff right away. We've had people move in and they start breaking down walls before they even move into the house.
Yeah.
We only need this amount. We need an extra bedroom, and they move in 6 months later, like, we actually wanted that as extra space for the family room. We told you, live in it, enjoy it, feel it out first, 100%.
Well, it kind of feels a little slimy right now, so I don't know.
Do it. I mean, do what you got to do to
And what's tough about that is that I got 4 kids. you know what I'm talking about? When you walk into a house and it kind of feels slimy?
Yeah.
Like bro, like
sounds like you got a good one then.
Yeah.
Those are the best.
Financial, numbers-wise, yeah.
Slimy equals equity.
Yeah, slimy equals equity. That's exactly it, bro.
They don't have a pillow on this couch.
Yeah, but that's exactly where I'm at. So, but it's tough with because it's my 4 kids, my wife, and my mother-in-law lives with us.
Wow.
So Hispanics, bro. You know how we do it. You know how we do it.
It's nice to have that fun. You go out on a date whenever you want, though, right?
100%, bro. 100%.
That's pretty sweet.
That's how it is.
That's
so
huge.
Yeah, that's
so how many bedrooms does the house have?
4.
Okay.
Not enough.
Dang.
Not enough. Yeah,
make
bro.
the kids shack up a little bit. Get some bunk
Right
beds.
now we have 5 bedrooms, and it works, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it works right now too because they're younger. So they
you have a big lot? Could you put like an ADU in the back one day?
Oh yeah, like the lot's pretty big. It's like 0.4.
Oh,
0.4.
Put 2
like
ADUs
5,
back there.
0.45.
Dude, yeah.
So yeah, it's great.
Go
it's
put your office in the back.
No,
you're
no,
good,
no,
or
not my
your
office,
mother-in-law's suite.
Oh my.
Yeah, even better.
Mother-in-law in the backyard.
Yeah, put her in the backyard.
She probably would prefer it.
100%.
Yeah.
No, there's a space and we're planning on putting an ADU like on the side of the house because it's it's the space is big. So yeah, that's exciting. But yeah, no, we're planning on doing that. So that's why we're like, no, I think we should remodel it before, just kind of bite the bullet and be like,
whatever works for you.
Figure it out, So yeah, whatever works. But that's where we're at.
Fun.
That's where we're at.
I'm sure it'll be beautiful when it's done.
When it's done, bro. Yeah. My wife's great, bro. It's like a hidden talent, and that's the thing, dude. Like, I would always put her down when it came to like the style of like our house and how the furniture looked, and I would be like, man, like I don't like your style. Like it's just not nice, For years, I would do this. And then finally one day she's like, well, you know why you don't like my style? Because it's actually your style. Because when we go to the store, you always want to pick all the stuff, and I concede and I say, all right, whatever, let's get it.
Do what you want.
Yeah, do what you want. So it's actually your horrible style. And then she's right. It was my horrible style.
Where did she get her inspiration from?
Bro, honestly, so then with that, we started this business, and in the beginning I was like, I think maybe we got to bring in a partner that has good style, and we had this conversation, so I don't mind sharing it. But I was holding her back because I wasn't seeing the giftings that she naturally had. Like she's very she's very creative person. Like, and even like design, and that's why I trust the fact that because she's gonna be the main one, kind of like designing how the house is gonna look, and I completely trust her because she's just very talented.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So it's cool, man.
And at the end of the day, it's nice that she's good at what she does and she has an eye.
Yeah.
But every day, if you pick out the couch and she doesn't love the couch, then you got to hear about it for the next 10 years.
That's true.
I've gotten to the point because I'm in the business. I think I have a good eye. It's a very subjective thing.
No, you do, bro.
But I've gotten to the point where we're redoing the kids' bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, pick out the tile.
Yeah.
You want that one? I'll order it. It's
you know
done.
what that's called?
Do I love it? I'm just like, it doesn't matter at this point. And she has a good eye, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's not worth it.
You know what that's called? Wisdom.
And you're not second guessing your decision. You're like, oh, she made the decision. Yeah.
No, that's good. I mean, where'd she get her inspiration from? Pinterest.
Yeah. He's giving her the kid's bathroom towel because he wants to decorate the fireplace, right?
Yeah, man. No, so it's good. We're on a journey, man. We're on a journey.
Yeah, man, it's cool. Every day's cool. It changes. And, you meet cool people along the way.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be here otherwise. And,
100%, bro.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't talk about building we talked about having, a good team and stuff. But like HSH, having you guys for a long time now, shooting our stuff.
How long have we been working together, guys?
Years.
It feels like more than 5 at
Before
least.
COVID, yeah.
I mean,
way more than 5 then.
Yeah,
a long time.
Probably 6 or 7.
No, thank you guys. No,
but just not having to worry about that.
Yeah.
You know, like we'll help get the house. We get the house ready, but we know the day of the shoot, it's going to be done. We know we're going to get our stuff back quickly, and it's going to be done.
Man.
You know,
you guys have been a great extension of our.
It makes
business.
our life easier. Having a good transaction coordinator, like stuff that we just don't have to worry about.
Well, that's all part of it, because even going back to the conversation, like how are you present with your kids? Oh, it's because I mean, unless HSH drops the ball, then that
one thing the new agents.
I remember back in the day, you guys were like, oh yeah, we show up in suits and we do like the whole thing, you know? And I remember early on there was a listing that we got, and this kind of goes back to like building confidence, but we were competing with some bigger agents at the time. And every time you went out against another agent, your confidence notches up, right? And then when you went out against a big agent in a listing appointment, you know, then you're really riding high, right? And so this was a situation where we had won out against a heavy hitter out where we live. And we was like, okay, great, signed the listing agreement, executed photos and video, and you guys came out, did the whole thing, photo, video, drone, and the sellers were there at the time when we were doing it. And you guys did the whole thing. Then you send us the video, and one of the things we do is we'll send the seller the video as soon as we get it. It's just a beautiful piece. And the husband said to me, he said, you know, I thought we made the right decision, and after seeing your photography team, I knew we did.
Dang, that's what's up, man.
It was pretty cool, dude.
That's what's up. Yeah, that's what's up.
I should have shared that with you a long time ago.
Yeah,
but it
no,
was
thank
cool.
you. No, that's great. You know, and obviously, like any business, we're consistently going through different changes and, you know, leveling up. And man, next year, I'm looking forward for next year, man. I know that this is probably going to air next year, so we're already in it. But yeah, guys, I think it was a great conversation, and I'm just pumped up. I'm excited about life, about being an entrepreneur, about being a father, about being a husband.
Being a homeowner?
You know, being a homeowner, yeah.
Come on, man.
Dude.
Come on. Yeah, that's awesome. So thanks,
Big
guys,
year.
for coming.
2025 is going to be a great year, man.
I think
for
so
everyone,
too.
I think.
I think so too. I think it's going to be a great year, and I'm excited. And this is the mindset that you have to have always. You got to have a plan. You know, you got to plan for it, and you got to execute on that plan. But 100%, bro. Like that mindset of things are going to look up, and you know, we make our own destinies. Then you know, I think that's
enjoying the
great.
ride. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us, dude.
Thank you, bro.